Discussed in the today's class. You're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So what we discussed in the previous class, guys?
Main
So we
discuss.
discussed about the how to install OS, the what is the difference between virtualization, physical. So we discussed yesterday that part, right? Yeah. So what we'll discuss today? So we'll discuss. So after installing the OS, after installing the OS, so we already discussed about the Linux and everything, right, guys? So yeah, after installing the OS, so what are the what are the folders? What are the folders is created while installing the OS, and what are those? We'll show you. Okay. Yeah. Let's- okay. Yeah. So how to connect that server, guys? So what is the IP address? 192.168.36.102. How you remember this? So I'll tell you. Okay. So in here, so if you click here, it's closed down. Okay, no
Screen
worries. I will
sharing.
show you. I will show you guys. Yep. IPA appearance change. So
Screen
bold
share.
18. Okay. Sorry.
Screen share అవ్వలేదు.
అవలేదా? No. Everyone, are you able to see my screen now?
No, no.
Guys, are you able to see my screen? Prasanna, Gopinath,
yes,
Yes, I
we can
just
see.
able to see, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Everyone.
Yeah, I am not able to see the screen. One second.
Yeah. Yeah, you can log out and log in again. Okay, so what is the username password? Username is root and password is Red Hat. So while installing the OS, while installing the yeah. So Habibun are able to see.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Okay. So you see, so duplicate session. I don't want to type the IP address, everything. If you click the duplicate session, so it will get the another session. So what is the username? Root username. Did you created this root username or while installing the OS, is it created? Yesterday I show you, right? So root user is the super user. Root user will be created while installing the OS automatically. While installing the OS automatically, root user is the super user. Root can do anything. Okay, root can do anything. So what is the username? Login as which user? Root user. Okay. So what is the password we set? So yesterday we set password for Red Hat. Just Red Hat. I set the password. Okay. So now I am able to now I'm able to log into this server. So what this is, what this black screen, what this is. Okay. So whenever you log into the Windows mission, right? Whenever you log into the Windows mission, you will show the so something like the screen, same like the Windows screen. But so whenever you log into this server, right? It is showing a black screen. So what is this? Linux is a CLI OS, command line interface OS. What this is? This is a command line interface. So command line interface means what this is? This is a shell prompt. So what this is? This is the user prompt. Whenever you log in as a user, so it will show the user prompt. I will show you what this is. So what this is, guys? Guess what this is? This is user prompt. Guess what this is? This is a user prompt. So what this is? This is a user prompt. So for example, you logged in as a normal user or a user. VBox, tilt symbol, the hash, the. What is this, guys? You logged in as a root user. So you logged in as a normal user. Okay. So what these are? Something like one is nothing but a login name. What is the login name, guys? Root is the login name. So what is the second? So what is that second? Second is nothing but a VBox. VBox. So what that is? That is a mission name. What is that? Mission name or server name or host name. Okay. So we call it like that. So we call it like that. So next, third one. So what is the third one? So third one is nothing but a twilt, guys. What is this? So this is nothing but a twilt. What this is? So we call it as a twilt. It represents the what it represents. It represents present working directory. What is that? So twilt represents the present working directory. So what is the next one? So the fourth one. So fourth one is the user profile. What is that? So this is the hash. Hash is the user profile. What is this hash? Hash hash privileged mode means root user can execute any command. What is that? So root user can execute any command. You guys understood? So what is this? Hash is nothing but a it's a privileged mode. What it is? It's a privileged mode. So what here, guys? Here, what this is? I will remove this. Yeah. So what is the login name here, guys? Tell me. What is the login name? Login name as guys speak out. What is login name?
Hari,
Yeah, Hari is the login name. So what is the mission name here?
mission,
VBox is the mission
big
name.
box,
Okay. So what is twilt here? Twilt is nothing but a present working directory. What is this? So this is the dollar. What is that? Dollar privileged mode. Dollar privileged mode. So normal user. Normal user privileged mode. So normal user, for example, Hari. Hari is the normal user. Gopi is the normal user. Prasanna is the normal user. Habib is the normal user. Right, guys? So these all are the user profile. Normal. That is the. So this is nothing but a normal user profile. Okay. So whenever you logged in as a normal user, this is the normal user profile. So this is the root user profile, root user profile. Result is root user profile. Guys, now you understood user prompt. So this is the user prompt for the root. This is the user prompt for the normal user. So this is the user prompt from the normal user. Guys, understood? Guys,
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
understood.
yeah.
Very good. So what is the next? Now you understood the user prompt. What this is, what this black screen, whenever you log into that, what it came. So echo dollar shell. What is that? Echo dollar shell. So what this is? This is a shell. What this is? This is a shell. So which shell? So we used the win bash. Which shell, guys? Bash shell. What is the bash shell? Is nothing but a born again shell. I will tell you. So what is this? So where you are executing the commands, you are executing the commands in the shell prompt. What is this, guys? You are executing the commands in the shell prompt. What this is? This is a shell prompt. Okay. What is a shell? What is a shell? What is? Okay. So what is a shell? So what is a shell, guys? Shell is a software. What is that? Shell is a software program that yellows. So before that, I will tell you one thing. So we will understand very well. Yeah. So what this is the hardware. So once you install the hardware, once you install the OS, a kernel will be installed. So on top of the kernel, so there is a shell will be created. What is that? On top of the shell, there is a user prompt. On top of the shell, there is a user prompt. What this is? This is a Linux texture. What this is, guys? So this is nothing but a Linux architecture. So this is the Linux architecture. So what is that? So this is nothing but a hardware. So on top of hardware, there is a kernel. What is that? Kernel. What is kernel? I will tell you. The kernel is there. So on top of the kernel, there is a shell. What is that? This is the a shell. On top of the kernel, there is shell. On top of the shell, there is a user space. Means we can install the ls command, pwd command, something like a cd command. This is nothing but a user space and application space. Okay, so now you understood the shell. What is shell? So it's a interaction between it is the interaction. So it is how you can interact with the shell. You can interact with the shell through commands only. So how you can interact with the shells? Interact with the shells through command only. What is a shell? So what is a kernel? I will tell you. Okay. What is a shell and what is a kernel? What is shell and kernel, guys? Now you understood the shell. So what is a kernel? What is a kernel? So what is a OS and what is a kernel? I will tell you, guys. So before shell, hardware, you know. What is the hardware? Hardware is Linux architecture. Linux architecture. So in the Linux architecture, what are the components are they? Hardware. What is that? Hardware. So what is a hardware, guys? So hardware is nothing but something like a Dell Power Edge or 710. So this is nothing but a hardware. So okay. So the server hardware. So the next one is a kernel. What is that? So kernel. So what is a kernel, guys? Kernel is a central component of the operating system. What is that? It is a central component, central component of operating system. It's a It's a central component of the operating system. It acts as an interface between the user application and hardware. Interface between user applications. So user applications and hardware. Okay, it's act as an interface between the user applications and hardware. The main aim of the main aim of the kernel. What is that? The main aim of the kernel between the user. So the main of the communication between the software and hardware. So what is a hardware, guys? CPU, disk, memory. Okay. So these all are the hardwares. So what are the softwares? So user level applications. So user level applications. Okay. So the main aim of the kernel is something like it will be managing the process management, device management, memory management, interrupt IO communication. So file system. Okay. So these all are the but a kernel. So what is that, guys? Next shell. So what is a shell? What is a shell? Shell is a software program that allows you to interact and access a computer. What is this? So access a computer. How you are interacting with this computer? You are interacting with this computer through the shell. What this is? This is a shell. So what this is? This is a shell. Guys, understood? Yeah. So user can enter the commands in the shell prompt, which will be executed by the shell. So it will be executed by the shell. Something like ls, pwd, cd, right? These all are the commands. These all are the commands. Okay. So how you can interact with this shell? You can interact with this shell through commands only. How you can interact with this shell? So you can interact with this shell through commands only. User can enter the commands in the shell prompt, so which will be executed. 1 second, guys. Which will be yeah, guys. So shell is a software program that allows you to interact and access a computer. So user can enter the commands in the shell prompt, which will be executed by the shell. Who is executed by the commands? The commands will be executed by the shell only. Who is that? Shell. So executed by the shell only. Okay. So and since the only means of communication, what is that, guys? Since means of the only means of communication through shell is text. Through shell is text, right? So it is known as command line interface. It's nothing but CLI. Yes, understood. Since the only means of communication through shell is text, so it is known. So it is also now as a command line interface. Guys, understood? So what is that? This is the text. LS is the text. CD is the text. PWD is the text. So the shell is a command interpreter and serves the user interface to the Linux kernel. Since the only means of communication through shell is a text, it is known as command line interface. It is known as command line interface. A shell is a command interpreter and serves as a interface to the Linux kernel. Is understood? Guys, understood? A shell is what is that? A shell is a command interpreter. So it's a shell is a command interpreter and serves serves as a user interface to the Linux kernel. You guys understood? A command is a interpreter. Shell is a command line interpreter. It serves as and it serves as a user interface to the kernel. Okay, understood? So whenever you provided the command, it took the shell and shell will give it to the kernel, kernel will give it to the hardware, then shell will execute. If it is a syntax correct, then it will execute the command. It will execute the command. A shell is a command interpreted and serves as a user interface between the user interface to the Linux kernel. Okay, so types of shells, guys. So what are the types of shells? Types of cells. So the types of cells, okay. So which shell prompt we are using here? Echo is nothing but a print statement, guys. Echo dollar shell. Dollar shell means it will give which shell. So which shell it is? Bash. What is that? Bash shell. So what is this? This is a bash shell prompt. Okay. Types of shell. SH shell. Bash shell. By default, Linux uses this bash shell. Linux uses this bash shell, CSH and KSH shell, TC, TCSH shell. Okay, these all are the shell prompt, guys. These all are the shell prompt. What are the shell prompts are available? Cat slash etc shells. You see, guys? So sh shell, bash shell, something like user bin bash shell. In Linux environment, you are using these many shells in the Linux. Okay, guys, understood?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
So now you understood the shell. Yeah. So now you understood the hardware, kernel, shell. Okay. So user applications means so it will execute the commands in the user applications. Yeah. So here, guys, question. So question is Linux a kernel? Is Linux a kernel or an operating system? So is Linux is a kernel or an operating system? Guys, is Linux is a kernel or operating system? There is a difference. There is a difference between kernel and OS. What is that? So there is a difference between kernel and the OS. So kernel is the art of the OS. Art of the OS, which means the features, core features of an OS, while if some useful applications and utilities are added over the kernel. Over the kernel. Is understood? So the kernel is the art of OS, which means the core features of an OS by so while if some useful applications and utilities are added over the kernel. So then the complete package, then the complete package becomes OS. Okay, becomes an OS. So it can easily be said that an operating system consists of kernel space and the user space. Guys, now you understood? So kernel is not a OS. So kernel is the art of the OS, which means the core features of an OS will, while if some useful applications and utilities are added over the kernel. So then the complete package becomes an OS. So it can be easily said that an operating system consists of a kernel space and a user space. Okay, user space. You guys understood? Now you understood the kernel? Yeah. So kernel is the art of the OS. So whatever the commands you are executing in the user space, so it will take the kernel and it will connect to the hardware and it will execute it. So it's an art of the OS, which means the core features of OS. While if some useful applications and utilities, this is the useful applications and utilities will work on. So there is a difference between kernel and OS. Kernel is not a OS, right? Understood. The OS, a kernel consists of user space and if some utilities. So that the complete package becomes a OS. It can be easily said that operating system consists of a kernel space and the user space. Guys, understood? Yeah. So this is nothing but a architecture of the OS. What is that? So architecture of the OS. In the architecture of the OS, you understood what is a hardware, what is a kernel, what is a shell, why we can use the shell, types of shells. So understood, guys? Understood? Yes. Okay. So for example, so you already started the Linux OS, right? You provided the Linux OS. How you can shut down? Shut down the server. How you can shut down the server? Init space 0. Okay. Reboot the server. How to reboot the server? Init 6. You guys understood? So these are the commands you can use to shut down and start reboot. For example, I'm rebooting the machine. What is the command we need to execute? Init 6. Okay. So init 6, so it is rebooting the server, you see. So this is the kernel, guys. Guys understood? So this is the CentOS Linux 3.1. I will show you where the kernel is available in the Linux file system hierarchy. Yeah. Okay. Now you can restart this machine. Login as the root. Password is ready. I set the password as ready. Okay. Init 0. init 0 is nothing but a shut. It will totally shut down the machine. Okay. So VMware Oracle Virtual Machine. You see, guys. So it is in powered up. So how you can start? You can start. Just click. It will click automatically. It will start the OS. This is the kernel, guys. What is this? CentOS Linux 3.10.0. That is the kernel. I will tell you that kernel. Kernel. Okay. So now it is in running state. How you can start? If you go restart the session, root red hat. Okay. Yeah. So what these are? These are all of the folders. These all are the folders, right? So did you created these folders? No. While installing the OS, these many folders are created while installing the OS, and every folder having their own purpose. Every folder having their own purpose. So what is that? What is this directory? And we'll tell you. Okay. So if you see this, so these many, okay. So these many folders are created. Okay. So these many program files. So these are okay. Same like as a while installing the Windows, the folders are created, and while installing the Linux, these folders are created. On press. Yeah, one second. Linux file system hierarchy. I'm taking the image, guys. Skip it. Skip it. Hit copy, paste. Are you able to see, right, guys? Or I want to take a bigger one. One second, guys. My laptop I have already. Let's see. If not, we'll download the other one. So Linux file system hierarchy. Um, so this is the one we are using. But we will the image. Um, yeah. So this is the one, guys. Let me say paint. Okay. Copy paste. Yeah. I'm able to see, right, guys? Yes. You see, so something like so what this is the Linux file system hierarchy. What is that? Linux file system. So Linux file system hierarchy. So what is this, guys? So this is the Linux file system hierarchy. So what this is, guys? So this is the so what this is? This is a slash. Slash is the so guys in Windows we call it as a folders, right? In Linux we call it as a directory. What is that? In Linux we call it as a directory. The folder is nothing but a directory in the Linux. What is that, guys? Folder is nothing but directory in Linux. Guys, so directory in Linux. So what is the administrator user? Root user is the super user or so administrative user. So and super user can do anything. Super user is nothing but a root user. Root user can do anything. Guys, understood? So folder is nothing but a directory in Linux. What these all are? These all are directory. Slash is directory, bin is directory, opt is directory, boot is directory, root is directory, dev is directory, sbin is directory, slash etc is directory, home is directory, temp is directory, usr is directory, lib is directory, media is directory, var is directory, mnt is directory. Okay, so every directory having their own purpose and you need to know. So if you know the Linux file system hierarchy, the Linux will be very easy, guys. If you know the if you know the Linux file system hierarchy, so FHS file system hierarchy. FSH. So if you know the Linux file system hierarchy, the Linux will be very easy. Guys, Linux will be very easy, guys. So yeah. So what is this? This is the slash. This is the top level top level layer for every directory. What is this? This is the top slash. The name call it as a slash. Slash is the top level directory for the all the directories. So what is that? So we want to shut down the mission, reboot the mission. What is that? So we want to shut down, reboot the missions. All the information, the bootable information will be available under the slash boot directory. In the slash boot directory, the VM lineage is nothing but a kernel file. Kernel file will be available under the slash boot area. Okay, so slash boot is nothing but a the bootable information will be available under the slash boot. Okay, then you logged in as a which user, guys? You logged in as a root user, right? Slash root is the home directory for the root user. So home directory for the root user. So you want to log in as a normal user. For example, normal user. Normal user home directory will be created under the slash home. For example, home Hari slash home Gopi. Okay, Habibun or something like Prasanna Kumar. These all are the normal users home directory. So the root user home directory is slash root. So and the normal users home directory is slash home Hari slash home Gopi. Okay, now you understood, guys. So then I want to execute the commands. Where you can execute the commands? You can execute the commands by using the bin. So in the bin directory contains the commands. So we are executing the bin commands. LSPWD. These all are the bin commands. Sbin also super bin. Super bin also contains the commands. Super bin also contains the commands. So this sbin and super bin commands, both commands will executed by the root user. So we will execute by the root user. Root user have all the privileges. So that's the reason he is able to run the bin commands and the sbin commands. But the normal user will execute only the bin commands. What is that? A normal user will execute only the bin commands. Guys, understood? Sbin means super bin commands. So super bin commands will not executed by the normal user. So because of normal user having some certain limit of permissions. Okay. Next. So where you can install the OS, guys. So we can install the OS on storage. We took the 20 GB of storage. The storage will be the storage will be okay, available on the hard disk information will the hard disk information will be available under the /dev. So temp is a temporary directory, right? So while installing the OS, 304 or 340 packages are installed. Where that packages are installed, the Sligeshwar. The system related softwares will be installed under the /usr and the third party softwares. For example, our application, deploy our Tomcat application. Tomcat is the third party softwares. So where you can install the third party softwares under the OPT. Under the OPT. /etc is nothing but a so all the configuration files will be available under the /etc. All the configuration files. What is a var? So var is nothing but a variable information. The logs information will be available under the /var. Right? The var, the logs information. So var log. You see, the log information will be available under the /var. Okay, the /var. And so everything is completed. Yeah. So MNT and the media. So if you want to so if you want to add the USB pen drives or something like a USB, so in the MNT we can use. So media is nothing but a so that if you want to add the optical drives, DVD drives, so CD drives for installing the OS drives, right? So the CD and DVD drives, the DVD and CD drives will be under the /media, under the /media. Guys, understood? Yeah. So now you understood, right? I will show you tomorrow practically. So we can connect to the server and what it contains, what it contains. So we'll show you tomorrow, guys. And we'll show you tomorrow and we'll execute and we'll provide the material. So we'll write the material also, guys. Okay. Guys, understood?
Yes.
Yeah. So what is that? So what we will discuss tomorrow, we'll discuss about the Linux file system hierarchy. What is that, guys? So Linux file system hierarchy. So in the Linux file system hierarchy, everything I will show you. I need a one class for this because of this is very important, guys. If you know this, right, it will be very easy. Linux is very easy. Linux is very easy if you know this, guys. Okay, guys are able to understand, right? Gopi,
Sir.
Prasanna.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you.